New business, public request to address the board, and that would be, I understand, Jerry Culver.
Yep.
You're on.
All right. Well, as some of you know, I taught school here in industrial art for 17 years. And I have always maintained a very strong feeling toward the school. And I just want to make some comments that I think others feel the same way, that we want to have the best education for our children that we can have. And if nitpicking and arguing about where this goes and who gets this and so forth is going to detract from the students and their education, then I think you as a board need to come together and say, is this the right thing to do? One of the things that I have asked to be on here right now is because it isn't going to be long before you join as one. And I would like to see, and I think others would, I would like to see balance between the towns and the school buildings and the school activity centers per se. I think that things have been dropped that were very, very good for the students. And I don't know why. I have some very good friends in Nemaha, Early, Shaler, and one of the things that I found in talking to them is that they emphasized a balance when their two schools came together, or the three schools actually came together, so that each community could feel that they had a fair share, if that's the right terminology. Everything didn't go one place or the other. And if you get one, I get one. And so on. And I think this is something that, and I know the people, many of the people in Saxon feel that our schools activities primarily are going south. And I'm not absolutely certain it is entirely true, but I have a gut feeling, just like several people have, that this is happening. That we have lost several things that, while I was in school, I thought were very, very good. And I'll give you some examples. One of the things that I guess Brent is the only one I can address on this because he was the only one that was there at the time this early discussion was made. But was there any discussion as to where the high school and the middle school would be located?
When? What are you talking about? When there's lots of discussions that happened.
When this process began?
Yes.
How about balance? Was there any discussion about keeping things in balance, as even as possible?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I think some people have. One of the things that has really bothered me, and that is I don't remember now whether it was November or December, a petition was presented around the town. And I don't know how many signatures, but a lot of signatures were on this petition. And I have copies of this, that if you want to see it, And my question is, what happened to it? I don't believe it was ever discussed in a school board meeting to the point where it was never in the paper. And so I'm wondering if, and there are things on here that I think are quite important. I've highlighted some for myself. One of the things that was requested was to establish a separate voting districts for the school district, and school events and activities would be shared and rotated to each school. I don't know if that's part of the plan. To ensure representation to be shared by all those that are involved in the communities and not located in any area, the voters should establish 2 members from each of the school boards and 1 at large, which I know that hasn't happened. Things such as, and these are the things that I remember. Homecoming coronation shall be returned to the traditional evening for the coronation. I don't know how many of you, I know Mike and Frank, Jack, some of you know what skit night was. And when we were in school, when I was teaching school, skit night was Thursday night prior to homecoming. And each class, high school class, was given an opportunity to put on a skit. And it was in the theme, but it was put on by the students. There was a sponsor. But the sponsors were not to do the work or inflammatory things that go on. And I tell you, the Saks auditorium was packed by 6:30, and it didn't start till 7:30. And people thought it was tremendous. I think it's a shame we don't have that again. I think that we need high school and middle school dances, because this is the chance for these kids to socialize and get together. Valentine's dance, commencement, prom, middle school. I think it's got to be more than just athletics. I think it's got to be more than who gets the football field and who gets the basketball court and who gets this and who gets that. I think it's all these things combined, and I think a lot of it is that the students themselves are getting shortchanged because we're not allowing them to have these activities together. And I think it's a shame.
Jerry, are you basing that on your opinion and your experience, or because you're talking to the kids and having a data to support that? Is that...
There was a
understand
middle
my
school
question?
dance.
Pardon?
There was a middle school
And there's
dance.
another one coming.
There's
Yeah.
one tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't want to get bogged down in details, but you're making that statement. Is that based on discussion with kids, or of your perception of how it has been?
It's more my perception.
Fair enough.
Right. Right.
Thank you.
And I think that all of you feel that what's best for the students is what your job is. And it's got to be all encompassing. It can't be just who has the best team, who has the smartest math student. It's everything. I will tell you this, that I am absolutely sick to my stomach that the industrial arts department that I had is no longer there, because it was the best shop in western Iowa. And I had many people say, Jack will go along with it. I think Mike will. You know, I must have had something, because we've got some of my former students that have done very well. So I just want to say that I'm concerned that we add emphasis to everything and not just a few things. That's what I want. And I appreciate your time.
Can I ask you a question, Jerry?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you gone to, in the spring, they have industrial arts art show at the high school, and the projects they show that the kids have made in industrial arts are amazing. I've been to it the last 2 years.
And I agree with you. It's just narrow. By that I mean we had welding, we had drafting, we had electronics, we had foundry.
We have all of those.
You have a foundry?
You should talk to Larissa right now. She
Okay.
was so excited one time. She came and talked to us about welding. She's like 5'2", weighs 80 pounds, and she teaches these kids how to. She teaches these kids how to weld, and she was so excited about. I couldn't believe it. I don't know how to weld.
And I think that's wonderful, and I didn't know that. But we had a machine shop. We had 3 machine lathes. We had two milling machines.
There is a lot of equipment sitting in the middle school that isn't used.
And what?
And that perhaps, you know, we've talked about a couple of times, maybe some of those things need to be used.
And that breaks my heart,
But-
that it is just sitting there. It could be used.
Well, and a lot of those, that has been done in a lot of occasions. Mr. McCullough has been up for things that have, you know, that can be used at the industrial tech program down at the high school. Well, let me say this, Jerry, when I came, it was in '02, and Sac City was doing absolutely nothing with Wall Lakeview Auburn at that time. Our industrial tech program was down to 2 classes a day. That was the first year that I got here. All that planning was done before I ever got here. Our industrial tech program for our students, if we're talking just Sac City students, and we're not anymore, we're talking East Sac kids, is flying higher than what it was when I first came here. I think we've got a lot more opportunities, speaking as a parent as well, at our high school for our kids together than what we ever had apart, far and away. Again, not getting bogged down in details because we can go along all night with this. I fully agree with Brent that when we started having discussions about where things were, you know, the high school's only going to be in one place. Okay, that's either a location north or a location south. The middle school needs to be at the other location. You know, take it, you know, if somebody wants to take a look at, well, we win or we lose, my perspective on that is we gained a middle school at Sac City. We didn't lose a high school, we gained a middle school. That's how you look at it. But everything else we tried to do as fairly as possible, but also within the best interest of kids. Again, you can get bogged down in this little thing, and we knew tally marks were being made as we went along, but we tried to make things as fair as possible. And again, speaking as a parent, the opportunities for my kids are far and above what they were 9 years ago.
Well,
Another
well
thing
put.
I would point out to you is that prior to these 2 districts agreeing to get together, you had a greenhouse, which was part of an ag program that had fallen into complete disrepair and disuse. That thing is coming back to life.
I agree with you. I built the greenhouse, so I know about it. But I also will say, and I don't want to get into a pissing contest, but the industrial arts department, from the time I left, and I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, but it went down, 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 down because of the instruction that was offered. And I will say the same thing, Chuck, about the greenhouse. The person who wanted that and got the grant and got the money for that really, really worked it. And after he left, nobody took any interest in it.
Well, his job was eliminated in '87.
Pardon?
His job was eliminated in '87. So wasn't anybody else to take it because the board at that time said there wasn't any ag opportunities in that. So that was a big mistake, and we're trying to make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, I hope it does, because I think it's a wonderful thing to have. Because there's a great deal of learning opportunities there in a different area, totally.
And I think one of our strong points is our career technical education programs. I mean, we recited that when we had our site visit last year. Our ag program, our industrial tech program were cited as what we call pillars of our school. And I think it's broadened a lot from just Woods 1 and Woods 2 to biotechnology isn't integrated. We've got computer-aided drafting, we've got mechanical drafting. We've broadened the horizons to the point where, for example, Woods 1 has 7 or 8, 9 girls in it now that they're participating in. This will sound bad, but once male-dominated classes, girls are integrated because we've broadened the horizons, and a lot of that is because there are opportunities out there for them. You know, a lot of us watch our ag programs and what they're doing and how they're, you know, kids are, I don't know how many kids are in FFA now, over 100 kids I believe are involved in FFA. They're getting involved in that, and those CTE programs are a pedestal at East Sac County High School, and truly it starts in middle school. Larissa Ruff now continues to build that ag program up here, and they just filter right into the high school.
Good.
Can I make one final comment?
Sure.
Thank you, Barry, for your sharing your perspective. We may not agree 100%, but it's nice to hear. And I would like to offer to you and anyone else that would like to, call me at some point. I'll come pick you up. We'll take you down and show you actually what the building's looking like. Because some of the concerns that you have will be alleviated when you get to see what we're really doing, especially in the areas that you've discovered. I would gladly pick you up, take you down, let's tour it, let's get your head around what we're doing, and I'll offer that to anyone else that has those concerns.
Okay, appreciate that.
And I thank you too, Jerry, and I think as we've talked about some of these things like the homecoming activities and stuff, and they keep assuring me that we're setting up new traditions. But as we do this, I keep saying we need to keep the community connected with the school, and we haven't done a very good job of that in the past few years. And we really do need to do that again. And by taking activities and putting them in the middle of a workday, it doesn't help. It certainly doesn't help. And anything, and I behoove you, you talk about your shop classes, and I'm thinking about all the people that we need in our workforce today that need those skills so we can continue some of those occupations. And it's like, good Lord, we just don't have enough of it. So it would be nice to start it in middle school. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
I will say one thing, and this relates to Bonnie Mullinger. I was probably not the best student in school, and I was probably a troublemaker in study hall. I shouldn't say probably.
I can't imagine that.
I shouldn't say probably.
I went to school on hall, and we had a study hall teacher. That's all she did all day, was study hall. And she grabbed me one day and said, "Here, I want you to read this." I would read a book. It was the book about Lou Gehrig. And I got about 3 pages into this thing, and I couldn't lay it down. I handed it back to her. She gave me another book about Glenn Curtis, who was a pioneer in racing and engine development and so forth. And I got hooked. And I probably have 3 books going at a time now. I think it's wonderful that you get somebody who can develop the desire to read. God, it's the most fantastic thing there is. You can get more out of a book than you can get out of any television show ever. So,
Well, I think everybody here would agree, what an outstanding program.
yeah,
She shows you she
sounded like.
You know, I think it's just, kids are so fortunate to have those quality of programs and that quality of teacher to work with.
Yep. You can tell she's really into it.
She's passionate about it.
She didn't have to teach this. She wanted to teach it. And there's your difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.